I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite
podcast
on the Citadel.
You are listening to Accidentally Casual, the nerdy podcast that sometimes is too nerdy for gamers. My name is Minius GC. My name is Minius from Minius GC. I've done that like 4 times.
Not just 4 times. You've done it for your entire YouTube channel.
No, I just say like my name is Minius GC. That's not my name at all.
Yeah, I mean Minius isn't even your name
absolutely
to begin
nothing.
Wait,
that with me is Tucker from Talking About Games.
Yes.
God, Tucker. Oh my God. Dude.
I was already talking.
Like,
You said
I come in with all this energy and you do nothing to help it.
You said that was Tucker from Talking About Games, so I thought because I already talked, I thought you were going to be like, and then this is Scott, who's being a very polite person who's laughing, although now he's just he's laughing so much only dolphins will be able to hear it.
I do. The whole idea is to match people up with their voices. So if you say this is Tucker, and then you say whatever stupid thing you say that has no energy.
Here, do it again.
Tucker, we're recording. I don't want to edit this all together. No. And Scott from BioWare Babbling.
What's up, nerds?
There, see, Scott's got something down. He's been on for like 4 or 5 episodes, and he's already passed you, and you've done like 50.
Well, I like to think I'm bringing some charm.
No.
Is that what you're doing?
I hope.
I'm just taking all the charm away from you then by being a huge douche about it.
So you're saying that you're a charming fellow.
That's not what I'm saying at all, but all right.
Yes.
So if you guys want to follow us more, we have a Discord community going. The link is in the description box. Mm-hmm. Tucker loves that Discord community.
Yes, and actually a thing that we've just added to the Discord group is emojis. One of the users just showed me how to add personal emojis to it. So we have the 3 of our YouTube profile pictures as emojis, and the idea that the user had was to come up with community ideas for what y'all would like as emojis or stuff in the Discord chat. It could be BioWare related, Mass Effect related, Dragon Age, all that stuff, or just either normal gaming related stuff.
I want to see some squirrels with your face on them. No one will be able to tell the difference.
Yes.
Oh, I should post the picture. I got to find my squidgen.
You can make a Twitter poll about emojis.
It's a combination of a pigeon and a squirrel. It's like a pigeon body with the wings and then a squirrel's like back legs and tail.
So a squidgen?
Like a griffin, but a squidgen.
Yeah, squidgen.
The most impossibly horrible animal that you can think of.
Man, speaking of pigeons, I was walking to the market today.
I shouldn't.
And this is all my pigeons
fault.
In the city.
Yeah, it is.
Don't care. I was stepping over them as I was walking around. They were too busy getting like crumbs and stuff that were on the floor, and they just don't care.
Those are some bold ass pigeons.
Is that how they are in Seattle? Is everyone too nice to the pigeons?
Well, they're so used to people because they know that people aren't going to do anything
just
to them.
Like
it's not like
them?
we're punting them. Yeah,
because I know most pigeons. Like I guess I was a kid when I gave a shit, and the pigeons did not stand there for me.
Yeah, I mean,
and if they did, they would have been in trouble.
I mean, these pigeons, and as well as the rats and stuff. I had a rat run over my foot before, and all that. They have their own thing. I mean,
the only thing I know about pigeons in Seattle is there's a new hockey team coming in there, and there was a movement to get them called the Rain City Bitch Pigeons. And that was like the coolest name for a hockey team I've ever heard of.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And it had like a pigeon with like a rain hat on, and I was like, that is the coolest logo.
I think we were the squid. It's something with a squid.
You guys are Kraken.
Krakens.
It's a very good name.
Well, I mean, with ice, you don't want that.
But it's not as good as bitch pigeons.
It's not as good. It's not like the Seattle bitch. It was the Rain City Bitch Pigeons.
I mean, man, and
that's even better.
I know it wasn't like Seattle bitch. It was a Rain City Bitch Pigeons, and it was like this kind of grim-looking pigeon.
There's a
I love
food,
it. I approve.
Kind of like, I don't know if it's local. There's a few buildings of it, but I don't know if it's a chain. But it's called Biscuit Bitch. And it is a thing out here in Seattle And the most popular thing to order there is the basic bitch, which is like biscuits with gravy and black coffee.
Oof.
I'm glad you can do that.
Yeah, and like they have signs of like when are you bitches open, and they have their times there, and it signs like treat everyone nicely, and like they're all about that. But
treat everyone nicely.
Oh no,
bitch.
No, they really are. That's what it is. Is they're like
treat everyone nicely, bitch.
All
right, so this week on the show, we are doing something that Tucker's been asking about the entire time.
Yes,
is game pitches. Tucker wants to pitch a game every week on the show.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like my forte.
Okay.
Yeah,
game design stuff.
It's like you went to school for it or something.
I know.
Fucking loser.
So we each have a pitch that we're going to go. If this is a successful show, we will do this again at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Cool?
Yeah, I'm down for it.
Who wants to go first?
Scott.
Okay, I'm going up
idea?
first.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah, all right. I'm down for it. All right.
Go, Scott.
And
I will try not to interrupt you repeatedly.
Okay.
Because you're not Tucker. I'll interrupt him repeatedly.
Yes. I'd love the differential treatment. It makes me feel all, special inside. So, I don't know how many of the viewers have played this game before. I think we're on the wrong side of YouTube.
Well, if you're
for that.
pitching this game, I don't think anyone's played it.
Okay, well, so the shorthand of it is that I want to do a Mass Effect version of Star Wars Armada. Now, essentially, to give an idea of what Star Wars Armada is, it is a war table game where you play as the capital ships of the Star Wars universe. So you get to play with the Star Destroyers, like the CR-90 Corvette that you see in the opening of A New Hope, and pretty much all the ships that you see. And I want to make something similar, but for Mass Effect, because one of my favorite things that Star Wars did is that if you look in the background, you see all these cool different ships, and it really brings the world to life. Yet we don't see that in Mass Effect. If you notice, all the assets look the same.
Yeah, there are maybe one or two versions of ships. Look, I'm interrupting. I had a question anyway. Is this going to be a tabletop game, or are you turning this into a video game?
So I can turn it into a video game by just putting it on a tabletop emulator.
There you go.
Boom. So I'm cheating a little bit, but
I'll try not to ask too many questions.
No,
and actually, I think something about the Legendary Edition that people pointed out a little bit is that they're more unique-looking ships now.
Yeah,
in some of the customs.
Yeah, no, I noticed that too. But for the most part, you cannot tell the difference between a Corvette, the difference in between a cruiser and really the Dreadnought or.
The species have distinct designs, but they're just kind of bigger versions of ships, right?
Yeah. I know actually the biggest variety that I have actually seen is obviously the Quarians have probably the most variety. I actually think second is, other than the humans, I actually think the Asari have.
Yeah, the Asari have a couple different ships, right?
Yeah.
But the Quarians are supposed to have whatever ship they can get their hands on.
Yeah. But then if you look at the Turian ships, their dreadnoughts and their cruisers literally are just upscaled versions of each other. And a lot of this just comes down to the fact that making assets is expensive in video games, and you can't make an entire fleet have all these different compositions. As cool as that would be, that's time consuming and not the most important thing. I get it. But
it's the Legendary Edition.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm hoping for something like a game like this. Is where a game like this, where effectively you can flesh out you can actually flesh out the fleets of this universe, because I think there's a really good opportunity with a game like this to be able to flesh it out, and actually bring them to life. Even Star Wars Armada did it with a ship called the Starhawk, which is essentially a Star Destroyer killer. It's bigger than a Star Destroyer and can kick its... And actually,
Bigger?
Yeah, it's bigger than a Star Destroyer.
Where are these guys getting the materials for these things, man?
They actually...
I always wonder that.
They got it from... What they would do is they would tear down... They would capture Star Destroyers, tear them apart, and essentially use those, essentially the parts of a Star Destroyer and rebuild it. And in my opinion, make it something better than a Star Destroyer.
That's not a moon.
Yeah.
Where'd you get all the materials for that thing?
Yeah, they would, capture Star Destroyers.
I mean, there's actually a really cool video by Metal Ball Studios that is a size comparison of sci-fi ships.
Yeah, I've seen.
And there's a few
I've
Mass
been watching
Effect
those
ones.
for years. They're awesome.
Yeah.
Check the
Minis, if you
description
haven't,
box for them.
yeah, Minis, if you haven't seen that, there's a few Mass Effect ships that they actually put to scale in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send you
That'd
a
be
link
interesting
to it.
comparison. That's... Yeah. Well, check the description box.
Yeah. So anyway, how the game would work is you could build your own fleets. The factions that I had was mainly by species, and they would all have different playstyles. So humans, for example, are kind of considered the basic ones. But one interesting thing, if you read about the codexes, is that they kind of brought the idea of carriers to the Mass Effect universe and to Council Space as somewhat of a loophole around there's an agreement in the
Treaty of Firaxan, right?
Yeah, the Treaty of Firaxan, which essentially limits how many dreadnoughts can be made, which dreadnoughts are defined as any ship that's over 1 kilometer long that has a mass what is it? Mass Effect driver? It has a specific... The cannon has a specific name.
Yeah, it's a specific gun, right,
Yeah.
on it?
Essentially, it's... Yeah, essentially where the gun goes the entire length of... It almost actually reminds me of the A-10 Warthog, where it's
You get that in the Geth mission in Mass Effect 3. They got a dreadnought.
Yeah.
And you run down the center of the ship, and it's just a massive gun.
Yeah.
That's basically what you're talking about.
Exactly. So, the humans brought in carriers. Carriers are larger than... are the same size as dreadnoughts, but they're not a dreadnought. So, you can have as many of them as they want, and I can't remember which codex, but it essentially said all the other council races started adopting carriers all of a sudden because they were a loophole around the treaty. So, that would be how, the humans would play, is that there would be a lot of, squadrons, so you could play as... You could also, bring squadrons into it, so... the humans would rely more on squadrons than maybe the other species. The Turians would be probably the most pound per... They are the...
Body blow.
Yeah, they're the body blows, but they also...
Like the old English Navy?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And not only that, but they're the... Because especially with, Turian tactics, they use swarm tactics, where they just overwhelm the enemy. So... and their focus is going to be a lot on long range. The Asari would be effectively... They would have the most expensive ships in the game, but they would also have some of the best ships. So, you're not bringing their equivalent. You would only be bringing, two of their big ships. Or, if you wanted to bring big ships... They're so expensive, you can only bring 2 of them, but pound per pound, they're one of the best ships in the game. But they're expensive. And they would also have a lot of boarding parties because of, Asari commandos and things like that.
So there's a lot of little, stat balancing things that you gotta go through here.
Oh, yeah, a lot of different balances. One of them...
Which that just takes time through playing it. And
Yeah, exactly. And there's different playstyles. The Solarians are all about... the Solarians are all about knowing your enemy and beating your enemy before, the fight even starts. So, they're a big...
I'll stop you. When in the Mass Effect universe does this take place?
I'm gonna say this is probably... I'm gonna say, right before Mass Effect 1, to make it easy. Just, 'Cause arguably,
And that-
that's right when humanity is at its strongest. Arguably.
Or do you even want this game to be canon with Mass Effect, or do you want it to be like a branching?
It sounds a lot like it would work better if you're saying like right before Mass Effect 1, a big civil war breaks out, and this.
Yeah,
is
like this is a branching narrative.
The Asari are really unlikely to fight the Turians.
Oh yeah, well yeah, there would have to be a complete breakdown, and you could almost go. I know, like it could be like war simulations, for example. You know, as simple as that, or just like, oh, these are just war simulations, and trying to...
Like, you are in a war simulator?
Yeah, effectively.
And then you go in there and you can create whatever scenario you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Did the Krogan get asteroids?
just asteroids.
That was their move during the Krogan rebellions.
Yeah.
They put rockets on an asteroid.
I wanted to bring the Krogans in, but the problem is that
they don't have shit.
Yeah, they never had a fleet. They would just either steal ships or they would yeet asteroids at people. That's it.
I mean, that's called go big or go home.
That's such a badass tactic.
Yeah,
it's so messed up too.
I mean, we did that too. We threw a asteroid at Mass Effect Relay.
Yeah, we threw an asteroid at a mass relay.
Killed a bunch of Batarians.
The Batarians did it first in the Mass Effect 1 DLC.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they didn't succeed.
They did not succeed, correct. Yeah. But they did do it.
Yeah. Other factions, how they would play... So, also the Turians would have, like, Volus bombers. Because, you know, Volus had some of the best bombers in the galaxy, so that would be, like, one of their squadrons would be Volus bombers. What other... I'm trying to remember all the different things I had. The Geth would be known for, like, having a lot of shields. Like, they would obviously have pretty big ships, and they would also have a lot of swarm tactics, especially in their squadrons, but they wouldn't have the most durable ship. Like, in like, the amount of, like, hull damage they could take wouldn't be as much, but their shields would be ridiculously high.
Yeah.
And then the one funny thing I also had was that the Reapers and the Collectors would also be in the game, but they're more almost like a joke like fuck you faction.
How do you balance that?
Oh, it's like one Reaper. Effectively, if you're fighting one Reaper, more times than not, the Reaper should win. It's much more treated as like a boss fight. The equivalent for like Star Wars Armada, if any of you guys get the reference, is like it's like your fleet going up against a Super Star Destroyer. Which that game has. The model is about 2.5 feet long.
No shit. That's awesome.
Yeah. The funniest thing is about it though, it can't natively turn. So it can only go in a straight line. But there's a commander that if you take a damage, you can turn. And so, how you turn it is different from how you would turn other ships. So you just see this. So effectively, what happens? It fucking fishtails. So you just have this 2.5 long model just fishtailing like it's in Tokyo Drift or something. It's hilarious to watch. Just,
you know, the interesting thing about space combat, and I don't know if we'll ever get here. So it makes sense from a standpoint, like say you're in water or even air, that you wouldn't be able to turn big ones. But in space, there's no resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So in theory, it doesn't matter how big your ship is. You should be able to maneuver it.
Yeah. Well, maneuvering isn't the problem. You still have the issue of, like, mass, and you would have to, you know, you would still have mass, but yeah, you wouldn't have...
I guess if you got these ships and they're like 8 kilometers long or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a substantial amount of mass to generate and stuff.
And also something that's that big could be turning at the same speed as something much smaller, but because it's so large, it looks like it's moving at a slower speed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, so, like, the Reapers would be in there, and, like, you could play as the different... Like, you would have, what was the name of the smaller Reapers? Almost like their cruiser. The equivalent of their cruisers.
Aren't they all just Reapers?
Well, I mean, they all are
Baby
just Reapers,
Reapers.
but I
The
believe
only
they have
time
a
I remember hearing a ship, they called it a Harbinger class, which was the enormous one.
Yeah,
But I don't remember names for the smaller ones.
Yeah, I thought that I'm fairly certain there's a name for the smaller ones, but
There is. It's very, very possible.
Yeah, but like that one would still be like powerful. The only thing, like the only ship in my opinion that would be able to go toe to toe with a Reaper, arguably, would be the Destiny Ascension, which would be in the game for the Asari, which wouldn't be as powerful as a Reaper, but would be the closest, probably. Because it's pretty...
Yeah, you would need to balance that for gameplay.
Oh, yeah,
and
no.
It would take a lot to go with it.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, yeah.
In the lore, the Destiny Ascension's probably not close to a Reaper.
Yeah.
Given the only example we have when it got its ass kicked.
Well, yeah, but it was also fighting an entire fleet, too.
That is true.
And it was fighting an entire fleet of...
It was fighting like a fleet plus a Reaper, so...
Yeah, so, I mean... And in those situations, it's kind of hard to judge, like, how powerful something is. And yeah, balance would be a huge thing in this game. Especially, like, for something like... I had an idea of... Like, the Quarians, for example... Their ships would actually be super cheap, but they would have a shit ton of upgrades. So you can... Essentially, you would use upgrades... Like, the base model of the ships wouldn't be that good, especially when you compare them to the other species. But where they shine is in, like, upgrades.
Okay.
So...
I wish I knew more about Star Wars Armada so I could follow this better.
Yeah, no, that's the big thing.
It sounds kind of like Warhammer.
Yeah, it's very, like, think Warhammer, oh shit, what is the... Warhammer Gothic would be also another name. That, like, Warhammer Gothic is what, their, like, capital ship version of that is. But yeah, think very much similar in the vein of, like, Warhammer. But yeah, no, balance would be a huge thing.
It's basically all, like, it's very, very wargamey stats related.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for 100%.
I mean, if you look at the balancing and stuff that went into Warhammer when they were designing it, it's like that was a lot of work. And then all the continuation or all the changes that it's had since its iteration.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good. Yeah, Warhammer is... I'm just going to say this right now. Warhammer's is bonkers as shit. And there's a reason why I never have gotten into it, because it has 40 years of just batshit craziness. And not to say it's a bad thing. It's actually, that's one of its strengths, and like, Warhammer is kind of just taking pride in the fact that it's like, yeah, we're kind of batshit crazy, and power scaling just goes through the roof, but we don't care, because that's just who we are. But
I just think they look neat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they're... Yeah, seeing what people can do with miniatures and, like, how they paint them is... Oh, it's fabulous.
And also, like, the gameplay of it, when I lived in Orlando, there was a Warhammer store there that actually would host tournaments and stuff, and they had full tables set up. Mm-hmm. And it would, like... that's kind of cool how detailed you were moving people around.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. No, it's super fun. I've enjoyed the ever-living shit out of Armada. I was actually planning at my local comic book shop of actually having an Armada League. And then COVID fucking happened.
Ooh.
That COVID has fucking no manners at all.
No.
Zoom. Like, use a meetup app or something, and
there's a bunch of different Vassal is like the most popular or top simulator in like this Armada community, so and then like
it sounds way cooler in person though, so
oh yeah it is.
So or you could all put on spacesuits and then do it.
I mean, fair, but
that would get expensive and also really dumb.
Yeah, I was about to say Armada's already expensive enough as it is.
Now you need a fully functioning spacesuit. You're like, shit, I can't afford that.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm gonna go play fucking dominoes or something.
Yeah, Yeah, my budget says space. My dreams say spacesuit, but my budget says Dominoes. So how I would how a normal like one turn would play out is you would select your ship. You would have a command that the ship could do. So, for example, like the 4 commands that generally in Armada are concentrate fire, squadrons, engineering, and navigation. So navigation, essentially, you can change your speed and like increase your it's called yaw value, essentially the value that you can turn.
Yeah.
Concentrate fire, essentially you can add a dice, so you can do more damage. Squadrons would be, you can command your squadrons and send them out and have them do shit. And engineering, obviously, you try to repair them. And I'm also simplifying a lot of this stuff because I don't think this necessarily needs.
Yeah, you have to get it into a certain window.
Yeah. So
this sounds incredibly complicated.
Yeah. And it's also hard to explain it just verbally and not actually like showing. So
hey. So why this as your game pitch? Why is this, when asked to create a game that you would want, like personally would be made for you, or just your perfect game, why this?
The reason why is, one, I love Star Wars Armada, and I think Mass Effect could really... So, one of the big things, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, I think Mass Effect has a great opportunity to really flesh out the ships that it has, because you kind of read in the codex entries, and even in the books and comics, they talk about, these different styles of Corvettes, and all sorts of different stuff, and so you know that there's a great variety of ships out there, but we never see them in-game. And I always feel like that's a missed opportunity, and I always like comparing it to Star Wars, where in Star Wars, you'll get just a panning shot, and you get to see all these cool different ships that are fleshed out and are eventually, we eventually do see in the game. And I would love something like that for Mass Effect. I have actually thought about developing this game personally.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Just doing that same thing of just trying to bring that little... I just see the potential of developing this this part of the Mass Effect universe that we know it's there. We just haven't seen it visually. And I think
the gameplay would be so much different than it is. You'd have to basically make a new game, which is what you're doing.
Oh yeah, exactly. And especially like one of my favorite things is seeing the fan art of some of the designs of like what the different, like the Everest versus the Kilimanjaro class dreadnought, what they look like, what the different Asari cruisers look like. Like you look at the fan art that people have developed over the years, and they're fucking dope as shit.
I just got the new art book today, so I wanted to go through there and see what they got.
Yeah, send
they
me
usually
pictures.
have a lot of concept art.
Yeah.
If I see something of ships that I don't recognize, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, because that would be.
That reminds me of a theory that I actually had about the Legendary Edition.
Mm-hmm.
Because how you said the art book was coming out before, and how we were all kind of surprised that the Legendary Edition wasn't going to be at EA's during one of their quarter announcements.
Yeah.
That the coronavirus probably was the reason behind that. That it was probably planned for around there, and then had to get pushed back.
Yeah.
And that was something I was thinking about, was like, because it is kind of weird of when they're launching it.
I'm a little surprised they didn't push the book back a little bit, but who knows?
I mean, a part of me says I'm not surprised, but I mean, I don't even know of how many games at this point have been delayed because of COVID? Or
I'm going to assume every single one.
Yeah. Or if
Infinite has been delayed, like Infinite went from having a release date to maybe next year.
Yeah, exactly. And how many games that should have.
There was a game that just got delayed to next year today, and I forgot which one it was.
Vampire Bloodlines 2?
That's the one. Yes.
Yeah.
Which
I'm looking forward to that game, and
I'm worried that the game may not come out based on the number of delays. I mean, it's at this point.
Actually, wait, they didn't just delay; they changed developers.
Yeah, there's people leaving.
And that's a bit different.
Yeah, it's they might be starting from scratch. So.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah.
All right, so Scott wants to shoot things.
Yeah,
with
I
big
want
ships.
Yeah, I want to shoot things. Ships with from quote unquote kilometers away, and I think that would be one thing that I would make different. Is that one big thing about Armada is, you have like a range ruler to tell like how far, can I shoot it with this? Can I shoot it with missiles or ion cannons or turbo lasers? It would be a little different with effectively Mass Effect Armada because, it's very normal to shoot another ship from 1,000 kilometers away at minimum. So,
yeah, I mean, the closer you get, the easier you are to hit.
Yeah.
So they're basically, there's no real reason to get right up in your face.
Yeah, so it would be like positioning would be a lot bigger of a thing, and especially it's like the ranges would be further just because of the fact that, and just to fit kind of into the universe of like, these battles aren't up close and personal, they're far away. So
the majority of the First Contact War was done that way.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think without going into any further like details than that, that's the pitch that I want to make. That's my game pitch.
All right.
Alrighty.
A direction the Mass Effect universe could go into. I wonder, the likelihood of that happening doesn't seem very high, but the idea seems really cool.
I mean, it's a cool idea. The big thing is, though, legally,
Yes, you would need permission, or really you'd need them to do
We're
it.
ignoring that whole part. We're ignoring the
This is a total
stuff.
fantasy where you
We're
have lots and
ignoring-
lots of money and you can do what you want.
Oh, yeah,
We're
if I could just
ignoring
go up to BioWare and be like, hi, let me negotiate with...
No, not even that. You're walking up to Genie, and you're like, yo, here's a game.
Yeah, here's a game, poof, yeah. I mean, I know that's how this pitch is supposed to go. I was just, like, just thinking realistically, like, oh god, yeah, the legalese of that would be not so fun, but...
Well, it's never fun.
Yeah. It's just like, BioWare, just throw some money at this. I promise I will...
BioWare has no choice what money they throw at what.
I know.
You don't ask them to do that. They got no choice.
I know, yeah, but still.
So, Minius, your game has more of a relation to Mass Effect than mine.
Yes. I am going to pitch what I think would be the best move for Mass Effect fans to do a spiritual successor.
Okay.
What do you mean by that?
For Mass Effect. And I've chatted a bit about the show on the basic concept of it, but I've never flushed it out, so I'm going to flush it out a bit.
Okay.
The idea would be to kind of combine, at least in concept, and not be either of these. You would combine the Firefly universe or the Firefly concept of a single ship operating with a crew and the Mass Effect formula, basically of conversing with squad mates and crewmates and creating relationships with them.
Yeah.
And stuff. But the major difference there being that, I mean, in Mass Effect, you got the Normandy.
Mm-hmm.
The Normandy is the most bitchin' ship out there.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the complete opposite. You're not anybody. You're just a dude out there, or a lady dude, with a ship that's kind of a piece of trash. Mm-hmm. And you're a mercenary, but you need to maintain your ship. So you need to take jobs to literally keep your ship together, keep it running, get fuel. You have a crew, you need to pay them. I do really recommend watching at least just the first 2 episodes of Firefly to get the idea of that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were about to say the first 2 seasons of it. I was like, wait, hold up.
there's one basically half a season, but just the first 2 episodes.
But you know that your game exists, and it's called Starfall, and it got a 1% vote?
Tucker,
Starflight.
that is absolutely not. There are no squad mates in that.
Yeah, there are.
No, this is all about talking with long audio conversations with squad mates.
Oh, but you have your squad mates in Starflight, but what you described being a nobody that has to like actually do jobs and stuff while all this.
Well, I mean,
things are
the
going,
idea is like, I mean, so the main concept behind Firefly is you're an ex-military guy. You were in a war, you lost the war. Of course, this isn't at the beginning of the game, and basically you're operating on the fringes of space and society in a very lawless area because that's the only place you want to hang out. But you gotta like keep stuff going, so you'll take a job, and it can be morally ambiguous, and you'll end up robbing somebody that actually needs the stuff more than you do.
Yeah.
So you'll have to decide: do you give it back to them, or do you hold on to it? If you rob them blind, obviously you can have your own squad mates, and your squad mates have an opinion on what you do. Just kind of like it's vaguely there in the BioWare games, but it's never go there. My favorite thing is like you have characters that disagree with you and then they don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But the main concept behind this game is your crew can turn on you or leave.
Ooh, I like
if
that.
you do something the crew mate really doesn't like, they could either leave or they could rob you blind and leave, or they could attack
you.
you.
Actual consequences.
Actual consequences for all the actions. So,
which is really difficult because it's publishers and developers are like, that's a concerning thing.
This is an extremely difficult game to actually do.
Okay.
But basically, there are 2 different sides to it. So you could have a squad mate that's a very straight-laced moral person, and you go in there and let's say, this is an exaggeration, but you rob an orphanage. They're not going to like that.
Yeah,
and they might
that's
leave.
a pretty normal reaction.
They might leave.
I like how you said that's an exaggeration.
They might leave. They might come back with a set of mercenaries to take you down. They decide you're that bad. Or let's say you have a crewmate that is really more of a mercenary pirate, and you turn down jobs that would make lots of money.
Rob that orphanage.
And you don't rob that orphanage.
Yo.
They might turn on you and try to take your ship.
Yeah.
And you can have people who rob you, and then you have to go after them. Obviously, the extent to this is big, but basically, you get put in a situation where you really have to maintain a bunch of relationships and your ship, and you're going to be put in situations where you got to make decisions that change the outlook of your social dynamic on the ship.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the main concept behind it would be, just because you have people who can leave, you have a ship, you have a limited amount of space on your ship. So you wouldn't be able to have every single character in the game on your ship. It was one of the weirdest things about Mass Effect, right? So you guys remember recruiting Jack in Mass Effect 2?
Yeah.
This is the first concept behind this. And so you go in there, and the whole build-up is, this person is crazy and kills lots of people. And you're like, okay. And then you're still going to go there, and it turns out she hates Cerberus. And you're like, got a Cerberus ship. You're like, why don't you come on board? And I remember when I first played them, like, there is no way I would invite this person on board. She's going to kill everyone. Yeah. Because that would be, that makes sense. Like, Cerberus messed her up. Oh, yeah. Totally justified to go in there and kill something. So, like, if you come across a character like that, you may not want to recruit them unless you agree with their agenda. And if their agenda is, I want to take this group down. And you're like, okay. And if you don't, they might turn on you.
Ooh, I like that.
That's something that I was kind of looking forward to with Cyberpunk, with the different gangs and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would kind of be the idea. So the other core. So basically, it would revolve around jobs or missions. So you have the classic Mass Effect formula where you can take squad mates with you, but you also need to have your ship operational at the same time. So you need a pilot, you need a mechanic, and everybody in your crew would have a role, a little bit like the GTA 5 heists.
Yeah.
Where you sign someone in, so this person needs to take care of that. You will need to assign the right person to the right role. A little bit also like Mass Effect 2 Suicide Mission.
Yeah.
And each mission event would be like that. And if you make a mistake and put someone where they don't belong, it has actual consequences. Like literally, that character could die.
Oh yeah.
And then you need to replace them. Or that character, let's say you need to go rob that orphanage, and you put a real douchebag who wants to rob the orphanage in a situation where you're not there, they'll go do something against your orders. So you need to really like understand what the motivations behind each character is and then put them in the right spot. And then also make sure you hire the right people to go along. Like, let's say you're going to be a full-on pirate. That guy who wants to rob the orphanage is who you want. But if you want to be like more of a straight lace, try to do it as by the book as you can, you want to assemble your crew like that.
I'm kind of thinking like No Man's Sky, but with RPG elements.
You can add as much as you want to this game, but the core is relationships with your crewmates.
So I'm going to say something, this may be a tad controversial. I actually think the Dragon Age series might actually be better, because I honestly think they tackle consequences way better than Mass Effect does.
Yes, they kind of do.
Yeah, but Dragon Age isn't as fun.
Okay,
well,
Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.
The other example I thought of is like Morgan in the original Dragon Age, who fucking hates everything you do. I'm always like, why is she still there? Like, why didn't she just take off?
Oh yeah,
my dog is barking.
That's kind of the concept behind that too.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
She's like, I disagree with everything you do. Why are you still there?
My dog is barking in his sleep, and he's in the next room over, and is getting picked up on the mic.
Okay, well, I didn't hear
I'm not
it.
hearing
and now
it,
you interrupting us is what interrupted us.
It's okay.
It's adorable.
It's okay. You were shaking your cat into the microphone earlier.
What?
I mean, I heard jingling, and I assume it was you.
No.
Really?
No. I do not have any jingling thing. That is Scott, and the the audio lines will tell the truth.
Yes, they will.
Okay. Probably. I think I just clipped my nails, so that's probably what you heard. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Or, I mean, I also have my necklace too, which I fiddle with. So that might be also what you're picking
that's
up.
probably it. I hear it right now. Okay.
Yeah. So
I just assumed it was Tucker shaking his cat in the microphone because that visual is hilarious. But basically the idea is like, so everything you do has like, you take a job, let's say, and this is very specifically the second episode of Firefly. This is exactly what it's about, which is why it's worth watching that. But let's say you take a job and you find out that really you're robbing somebody that you don't want to rob. And let's say you have to decide whether or not you want to go through with that whole job and then give the cut to the people who hired you, or not go through with it, and the people who hire you are going to be pissed, and they're going to come after you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the entire concept behind the game. But it's the core of it is Mass Effect, in the fact that it's you're a captain of a ship, and you have a crew, and you have a relationship with the crew. Yeah, but that's the spiritual successor. It's basically a combination of Mass Effect and Firefly. Yeah. If you haven't watched Firefly and you're willing to ignore Joss Whedon stuff, I highly recommend that. I have decided that I will not let Joss Whedon stuff ruin his series because there's just too many people who collaborated on it.
I really don't understand. I mean, I understand a lot when people are saying like, oh, I can't watch this because of this actor or stuff like that. I mean, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But I just, like, if there's something that the director did and it was a bad, scummy thing that they did, them as a person, sure, they're shitty, but they're art or something. Like, it's separating the art from the artist.
It depends on exactly what they did, and at this point...
yes, there is a line. There is a line that gets drawn.
And I don't know if we are going to want to cut this.
That gets brought up about Hitler's art that he drew.
Dude.
Which is, like, Hitler was an awful person.
What are you doing?
But if you look at the art pieces that he drew...
People need to stop jumping to Hitler and everything, okay?
Yeah.
Just stop. The comparisons aren't good. Stop doing it.
Yeah.
It's the Wikipedia of real life. The
comparison of Joss Whedon to Hitler is terrible.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, come on, man.
Oh, no, I wasn't comparing them.
I'm aware of that, but that's what we were talking about, and you jumped to Hitler. People need to stop jumping to Hitler and Nazis.
Because I was using
the
analogy of him and his art.
Yeah, but the idea, like, I'm kind of making a separate point where, like, if you're trying to make a political point and you use Nazis, no one's going to listen to you because you're crazy. Like, it doesn't compare. There's nothing that compares.
Well, it depends, I guess, on what the person's trying to compare. If they're saying they're on, like, equal grounds or something,
which is usually where it goes.
If they're trying to show prior examples of things in history and showing them repeating themselves, or
it's
going
more about
towards
stuff that's going on today.
Then that I wouldn't say is an exaggeration or
Well,
anything. It
here's
is
the-
look
here's
what can
the
happen.
here's the one thing
We're going sideways too much, and I'm afraid of that. And I'm the one who started it, so it's my fault. But the idea is there's absolutely nothing going on that's that World War II level.
Yeah.
There's bad stuff.
Well,
Like there's stuff in
there's
China
stuff in
right now
China.
where there's
Yeah.
a literal minority, but they're not all being killed just cause. So it's a
I mean, we
whole
don't
nother
know.
level.
Yeah.
Well, this is also a bit different with history. Is we are living in the present right now, and we don't know everything that's going on now until 20-something years in the future.
Yeah.
Which,
That
I mean, it's
living
possible
in
you
the
never know
present-
something going on. But yeah, you're right. You'll have a different perspective.
Yeah.
Because
The one thing I will say, and I think we do probably need to jump on this topic.
Yeah, we'll wrap this up
The one
with
thing
this comment.
I will say is, while I can understand the idea of, separating the art from the artist, the problem is when it comes to a point of, but you're also, that art is supporting that person, or that person is making money off of that person, or even the name brand recognition of that makes that individual money. And oh, by the way,
well, then
they're known for being they're sexually assaulting
don't do that.
people,
That's illegal.
or they're doing all these really bad things. That is still, yes, it's in a tangential way, supporting them, but by consuming that content or paying for that, that is still somewhat supporting them, and especially in the fact that while it's understandable it is understandable to say, like, you separate the art. How often in cases like Joss Whedon or many other cases where someone is accused of sexual assault or treating their people badly,
I want to.
how often does their actual repercussions that last longer than 6 months?
Yeah, well, first of all, with Josh Whedon, he's not been
It wasn't
accused of anything assault-wise.
Okay.
So he's just accused of being a dick and being mean to people.
Okay, so
the comparison, there is a huge jump between being a dick and being a predator.
Yeah.
Like an actual sexual predator. There's nothing there.
Okay.
There's weird stuff that's come out, but not in that line.
So I'll rescind those accusations that I made. I didn't know
fits
that.
in with what you're saying.
That's honestly fair. If you're talking about the entertainment industry in general and controversy with individuals, it's kinda a safe guess.
It's possible, but I assume that something would have come out. But there's still time. This stuff, the stuff that was being complained about, I mean, it started with Ray Fisher, and it was more he was concerned that he was being picked on for the color of his skin, which is possible. I think he might have been being picked on because he was the only actor on there who wasn't more famous than Josh Whedon.
Wait, what movie?
This is Justice League, man.
Oh, he was Cyborg.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this Justice League was a mess for a lot of reasons, and that was one of the added. Okay, we've gone completely sideways. Tucker, do you want to pitch your game?
Sure.
Okay.
So the whole point of games as a medium is to kind of immerse yourself or to kind of get lost in a situation, something like that. So the idea that I have is for a medieval style type of game that is an RTS.
I'm in.
So like RTS city builder or like a 4X game, like one of those.
Okay.
Which a 4X game, if you don't know, is
now
explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate.
Okay.
This would be a VR game as well. So I've played around with VR, absolutely love it. Super hot, Beat Saber. That is what I've been doing exercise-wise during quarantine. But I have not found many VR games that are RTS based, and so this would be a medieval city builder game, kind of like Age of Empires or Stronghold.
So I'm afraid to interrupt you again, but I have a legitimate question. So let's say it's Total War. Are you just given like a free camera and then you have the VR headset, or are you actually in it?
Well, I mean, you would essentially have a bird's eye view of the map.
Okay, and then you could like zoom into a specific spot with controls.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, kind of like
a god camera, and you can literally like jump in and be among the soldiers, or back way up and look at it from like an air balloon.
Yeah,
or a
well,
different
you would have a scroll wheel with the VR thing to kind of let you zoom in and out. And actually, the aspect of it that I was going to do, because it's VR, have two modes. One of them be where you are the king and you are in the normal RTS bird's eye style view, where you are building your castle, you're sending people out to get wood, stone, iron. There's farmers, hunters, all this stuff's going on. You're making deals with neighboring lords, your diplomacy, trade, all that stuff's going on. And that's the normal RTS. You do that all from this VR where you can stand up and actually like crouch and look around and design your castle and see how you want to build the walls and have it in that way. And if you want to do something faster, say you're running out of wood or running low on stone, or you need your blacksmith to get a lot of swords, you can take the role of that person and it would snap to a first-person perspective of that character, where you do a sort of mini game of that task of what it is. And so as a blacksmith, you would be hammering away at a bit of iron. Then you would pick up what it is and dip it in water, bring it on one of the stone shapers, and you'd essentially do a mini task, and the timing that it should take you to do would theoretically be a few seconds faster than the auto generation of the time.
Got it. Yeah.
So you can actually pop
into
it.
So there's...
Can I just stop you for 1 second, Tucker?
Yeah.
Did you just call it a stone shaper? I just like, wait, did I just...
man. It's a stone shaper. This is Tucker's universe. It's called whatever the fuck he wants it to be called.
I mean, I'm okay with that, but it's just stone... You mean an anvil?
No, one of those grinding. The grinding things.
Yeah, he's talking about
a grinding...
stone. Yeah.
A grinding wheel. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you
what
meant...
is it properly called?
Uh-huh. Okay.
What's the proper name for those, for the grinder things? I thought they were...
Tucker, is this a full-time RTS, or is this a mix of like a real-time strategy and turn-based strategy?
No, full RTS.
Okay. Because that sometimes you say RTS when you mean turn-based strategy.
Yeah.
So.
Nah, I know. I do, especially as a designer.
So
I very
literally,
poorly
you're timed on everything you do. So if you just sit there and like pick your nose, your competitors are making progress, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And if you've ever played Stronghold, which is a major inspiration for this idea, it's kind of like that, into which a new game of that is surprisingly coming out in a few days, actually, which I played that game back in like 2004, something like that, and just thought it was a small RTS thing, but no, there's another game of that coming out. But I think like that'd be kind of cool, having that sort of city building aspect and then jumping into it, as well as you could do that with your soldiers. So when you're sending your group of swordsmen out, or archers or stuff like that, they have their auto damage, their auto hit, and so on like that. If you jump into their position, you can still die. Like, you're not a god kind of character like is in a Call of Duty main character or anything like that, where you can instantly recover. You still can die, but you now have more control. So with a sword and a shield in VR, you can take control of that person. Like with a knight or something, or an archer in the back, and start trying to fire arrows. Or a catapult where you can fire not an asteroid, but a rock, which is a much smaller asteroid if you think about it.
Depending on what his makeup is, yes.
Yeah, so you could launch it like that, and as well as other things, again, from VR. And then if you need to, just hit a button, pop back up to bird's eye view, and move back around the map.
At some point, something like what you're saying should absolutely happen.
Absolutely.
I am already sold.
Out of all the things, like the games that we came up with, Scott's has rights issues, and mine has money issues. But that at some point that's going to happen. Something similar to that, where you can move around a zone and then take control of a person and then back up.
I'm also so hyped for this because this is what I would do in my Total War when I would play like Total War. Is that like I would zoom in to like the melee and just watch all the fighting happen.
So cool.
Yeah.
Or one of my favorite ones is you couldn't do this in Shogun 2 because you had cannons and shit. So I mean, you couldn't really follow the shot. But what you could do with like in like Rome Total War is that you could actually follow the projectile. So you would launch the projectile and you would just watch it go whee and just crash into people. Oh, it was so dope.
Well, I think in Shogun 2, I think you could actually take control of certain cannons into like not a first person type thing,
Like a
but
third
a little bit
person.
over the shoulder.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. I never took really advantage of that, but
wasn't the best,
you could do that.
But it was cool. But like something like that with VR, especially with one of those Cat Omni, like one of those 360 rotational ones, so you don't have to worry about your actual space. So if you're a soldier with a halberd or something like that, you can actually run up to them without concern of your area around you, as well as that could then reduce the controller functionality of having to move yourself around. If you just map that to the 360 degree device thing that you have, whatever, then you don't have to worry about moving around with the controller, as well as at that point you don't have to worry as much about player sensitivity. VR makes people sick, and even there's a lot of different movement around with VR, and a lot of different ones get different reactions with people. But if you are normally walking, your brain should interpret it properly. There is some issue with your brain interpreting you moving without you actually moving, and your brain then thinking that you're sick, which is why VR has been making some people sick. But,
yeah, I have to wear a wristband when I played.
Yeah.
But that did it fine. So
the 360 sort of thing would help reduce that, as well as I just feel like that's the future with VR stuff.
Where this stuff is going is actually quite exciting. I'm just not sure how many years out we are from having it really, really work the way it needs to.
I would say 5 to 10 years.
That's very possible.
Because,
Yeah, I would put gambling money on that.
Even though that may seem...
just today, which is going to be yesterday if you're listening to the podcast, information came out of the new PlayStation VR that they're working on. And what they're doing that. And that'll be an affordable
Xbox hasn't announced
version of
anything.
it.
Like,
But-
no Microsoft announced any VR things.
Microsoft said they weren't going to do it, but they probably should.
That's fair.
So,
But, yeah, I mean, that's fair. And, like, people may think that 5 or 10 years is a bit soon, but technology doubles itself. Like, as it advances, its time to advance decreases.
yeah, basically we're getting close to like a second generation VR stuff with the new ones they're coming out with.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
I mean,
with
they have
each-
even ones that are
with
wireless.
each thing they're coming out, you're going to get some good stuff. So that your concept behind that should absolutely be done and probably will be done.
Wireless alone is such a major step. I mean,
it's
look
huge.
at how long did it take us to go from wired phones to cell phones, and now we went from wired VR headsets to wireless VR headsets in a matter of like a year.
If I had more money, I would test out all these headsets, but I don't. So
And another thing, though, with this game pitch that would just be kind of cool is if you just pop in as a civilian, just to kind of walk around the castle that you've made in VR.
Oh, that would
And
be
you
fun.
can even walk around and be like, you can walk around, explore a little bit, like, hey, this would be a good place to put a few hovels, or, this is where you could put the Lord's Kitchen and all that
See,
stuff.
I'm imagining this scene in my head of you're walking around the town and you forgot to put in a section of wall. And you're like, look at this beautiful craftsmanship. This wall is impenetrable, and you turn where the missing wall is and fuck.
I figured I would lose myself in that game so much.
There's so many like just very close to what you're doing ideas that work with your main concept. So
of
yeah.
swapping between.
Yeah, I mean,
the-
like you said, medieval, right? Doesn't have to
Yeah.
be medieval. It could,
No,
there's
it doesn't.
every
I'm
single
a
scenario that would
sucker
work.
for of medieval stuff, where like bow and arrows and knights and that stuff. Like, I just think it's cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, it's your game.
I'm more of an antiquities person, but minor details.
But I mean, it could fit any theme.
Oh, yeah.
It just has the idea of this RTS with a VR swapping aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like it would also be nice with medieval, because if you have a blacksmith and you can understand how that works, rather than if it's the future, it's like, well, how do you make a laser whip? I don't know.
a laser whip? I want one of those.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be good for everyone else if I had one, but I want one.
It wouldn't be good for
They
you either.
probably
because
have
you'd
them
probably
in the
hit
mass-
yourself
Yes,
with it more
you were
often.
right. I would be decapitated within maybe 10 minutes.
Oh, I mean, and here I was thinking of a, I mean, not in this context, but how the conversation was going. I was thinking of a softer whip. As in the Mass Effect universe, they may have that for some kinks. I don't know.
They do have laser whips in the Mass Effect universe, man.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
mean,
Cerberus multiplayer
You can't really
character.
kink shame. Oh,
Which-
well, yeah.
He's
Fuck,
got
that's-
whips that are like laser whips.
Which, just fuck those guys. Fuck those guys. Yeah.
Fuck Cerberus?
Fuck Cerberus as well.
Okay.
But, you know.
Fuck the labor, but they got laser whips, man.
Well,
What if you like lasso with the whip? Like, how would you tie that? How would you untie that?
This is
God,
very
because
complicated.
getting it tied might just be happen because string be string, but how do you untie if it's a late? I mean,
You'd
have
probably
to
be able to
off.
turn it on and off, right? Like a
I've-
charge.
Right, I'm again just thinking.
If you can't, then it's not happening.
But what if it works like a lightsaber, where it like just
it just
Can't
goes away?
at that
I
point
don't-
you don't have a lasso. You just have a portable guillotine on you at all times.
No, I want it just like really long, floppy like lightsaber.
You don't want lightsabers floppy, man. That's how you get decapitated.
Well, have you ever seen
Actually, from
Spaceballs?
I can actually say this with experience from someone who was actually in a lightsaber club. Yeah, no, if
kid here.
lightsabers, yeah, well, fucking deal with it. From someone who actually has experience with that. Oh yeah, no, like
With
a
with
whip.
floppy lightsabers?
Well, no, not a floppy, but like something like a whip probably wouldn't work very well, and you would end up hurting yourself way more often than you would your opponent.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
if you
but
get
think
hit
of
with
the
a regular
advancements
bull
we would
whip,
have.
like the side of it, you're going to be okay. But lightsaber whip, that's going to take your arm off.
Oh yeah, well,
Well, I mean, that's all like figuring stuff out in the beginning, but once we're past that phase, all the people that are still alive, like, think of all the cool things that could happen with that.
yeah. I'm just gonna also let you know there's a reason why whips weren't really used much in combat, and like there are like floppy swords, for example, like in India they do have like
Yeah! I
it's like
remember that.
it's like a flexible steel blade that's like I want to say like 7 feet long, and like they're showy and cool as hell. But there's a reason why that they weren't really used in combat.
7 feet's too long for a blade, man. It's going to, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's called an Ara. A-A-R-A. It is a flexible sword that's kind of like a whip.
Yeah. You kind
Oh,
of
that sounds
you use
dangerous as
it.
fuck.
Yeah, it is.
Dude,
Yeah, it is. It would be.
There's
It
this
would be.
TV show
Like-
that was both god-awful and the most amazing thing that man has ever created on this earth. And it is called Deadliest Warrior. And it would take two...
I remember
Good
that
people.
show.
It was awful in, like, a lot of the historic aspects of it was, like, kind of accurate and kind of not. And the idea of, like, a Spartan fighting a ninja...
That's
is,
the
like,
one I was thinking of.
wouldn't make sense.
Oh, I remember
But
that
my
shit was my
God.
jam growing up.
The weapons that they show, and all of those, like, the ways that they show how they worked. And then what was really cool, actually, in season 3, part of what they did was show actual strategies and have
Yep.
war scenarios
Yep.
depicted
Yep.
as a figure out. Like, that was kind of cool. But one of them was a Rajput warrior, which was from India, that used that weapon that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And it won against the gladiator. Spoiler.
Gladiator's
Yeah, I
not
remember.
a real class.
Yeah.
It's just a dude.
Well, yeah, and
There were also female
All right,
gladiators.
we are
Mm-hmm.
going to. I almost had a segue, and then we went into real stuff. But we
Yeah.
were talking Mass Effect stuff. There is a tournament going on right now, and this is going to be the last week of it. The Mass Effect
It's the last
recommendation
week.
tournament. It's almost over, guys.
it felt like it started last week. It honestly, and I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, it just feels like
Is that a compliment? It's been going on for like 4 weeks, man.
yeah, and I've been voting on them, and just like it just feels like oh yeah. Well, granted, it
So
also
if you-
feels like
I mean, it's felt the same thing like that for me, but it's also felt like that because time has just felt meaningless. Every day has been
Well, that's
same.
Yeah.
unfortunate.
that's also
I know.
So
yeah.
there are 8 games left. If you are listening to this right as the podcast comes out, you will be able to catch the semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
After that will be the finals, and we will have a discussion, a full one, on next week's show where we come up with our own top 10 list of recommendations, and we won't
What?
go into
We're doing
popular
what?
stuff. We'll have to establish it.
Yeah.
So Tucker will get his game on there. It'll
So
be
wait, I'm confused a little bit here. So we just had a tournament, and
and then we're going to ignore it.
So we had a tournament where each of us, I think we put in 3 of them, if I recall it correctly, and
There were 64
So-
games. That's not what.
Yes.
You said you
There
wanted
was.
to do a top 10 list, so we're doing a top
Sure.
10 list. That was
but,
the idea behind it.
But we just did a tournament, so we're doing the tournament, and then
okay.
we're doing a top 10.
Well,
list? I'm
the
confused.
tournament. I mean, we're going to look at his influence. We'll say like, okay, people really, really, really like the Outer Worlds. So should that make the top
But-
10 list? That's the idea behind it. We're
Yeah.
just having fun, Tucker.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I was
8
about-
games left: Cyberpunk 2027 or 2077, The Outer Worlds, Knights of the Old Republic, and The Witcher 3 are in the first group.
That-
Second group: Deus Ex: Human Revolution, Dragon Age Origins, Elder Scrolls Skyrim, and Horizon Zero Dawn. By the way, in my initial thing, I had 7 contenders, and they're all in the last 8.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Last time I checked on Twitter, right now, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic was beating The Witcher 3.
Which is interesting, and I wonder if that's because Cyberpunk's there and it peels some people off. That's the whole concept behind putting those two together in the bracket.
Yeah, that was...
But
I'm almost done with Cyberpunk. I almost got all the achievements in it.
my buddy got 80 hours in. His save got eaten, which may or may have not been.
Was he on PC?
May or may have not been related to. It might have been due to his PlayStation, which is acting weird. But then he got through it again, got to the final decision, wouldn't let him choose.
What the
It,
fuck?
it bugged out on him, and he had to go
that sucks.
redo an old save and then go through that. That's why I would not recommend that game to anybody at the moment.
That's right. I have multiple saves.
I mean, no, he had a previous save, so he was able to go back and do it again. But dude, the immersion breaking of that on the the ultimate moment, you're like, okay, I'm making a decision where to go, and then it just stops working. That's the worst,
Oof.
man. That's the worst.
Yeah, that's... Ugh.
Feels
At
bad.
some point, this might be a good one, but I'm not sure it is at the moment. Very interesting that it got through.
Mhm.
It might. I mean, that would be my
it's
only
because
surprise is that it got
it's
through.
Cyberpunk, like
I mean, but if it was a full game, I could easily see it winning the tournament because it matches a lot of the what people like about Mass Effect.
On paper...
the game's still like a good-looking game. So something I really enjoy doing in Cyberpunk is going around and just using photo mode.
Yeah.
Like once I get all the achievements in the game, that's all I'm going to do with the game is just drive in photo mode, use it as a photo shoot thing for a bit.
By the way, another fascinating thing in this, the last quarterfinal, Elder Scrolls Skyrim and Horizon Zero Dawn got through, had the exact same amount of votes.
Yeah, I
It's
noticed
the first
that.
time we've had.
Yeah, I'm looking
By the
at
way,
it right
so
now.
I'm trying to think of what we do. For the final, I have decided that in order for a game to win this tournament outright, they need to have more than the combination of votes between the second and third. So we'll very likely have a grand final, which is just be a face-off between the top 2 games.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's say you go in there and almost certainly Knights of the Old Republic and Dragon Age Origins are going to be in there. They're going to split a vote and to skew the final a bit. So that way you can, actually don't lose votes to one of those 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get the true thing. And then we'll discuss. I'd like to come up with a top 10 list and do a video about it with you guys.
Yeah.
That would seem like a very good video, especially because you'd able to get some of the games that got passed over, I think, like FTL Didn't even get out of the first round, which blows my mind. I guess not really. I just don't think a lot of people have played it. The other one is the Outer Wilds, which gets confused a lot with Outer Worlds. That probably should be on the top 10, but we'll go over that next week. So if you have something you absolutely feel like should have done better than it does in this tournament, check in the Discord chat, accidentallycasual@gmail.com, and we'll get way into this on next week's show. But the finals, semifinals, and finals are going on right now, so check it out.
Yeah.
Also, we have a Mass Effect question.
Ooh.
From Satya, and he, I was told how to pronounce that name, and I hope I came close. I try so hard to get the pronunciations right. I don't think I'm ever right. So he, actually, I'm not even sure. He asked, what kind of protagonist should the new Mass Effect game have? Someone similar to Shepard, who is a possible young leader going up through the ranks, or a completely unknown rookie like Ryder?
My hope would be give it up to the player to decide. Have that be part of the choices that you may be able to make.
One of the things brought up in the question is that Ryder was kind of too rookie-ish and stayed that way, which I agree with a little bit.
Yeah, I think
something in between. Like Ryder was there specifically because the dad died, and then suddenly they jumped the line.
Yeah,
that was Cora's only other thing other than being an Asari commando without actually being an Asari, that she was mad that she got jumped.
Yeah,
that was her only other character trait.
And they actually explain why that was the case in Initiate in her book.
That's fine,
but it's
you
still
should
just
relate to a book as opposed to the game.
Yeah,
like that stuff's got to be in the game.
Destiny had that issue at launch.
It definitely feels like something that they did after the fact of like, oh fuck, we need to come up with an explanation for this. So they give an explanation, but it's still one of those bad justifications in my opinion.
My answer, I would like something in between that, really. I mean, Shepard was the best of the best, the human they literally put forward to be a Spectre, because Shepard was their best candidate. I probably want something more in between. I think Ryder is too rookie-ish, although it works, but I'd like to be able to choose a background, I guess somewhere in between there.
I can't remember who specifically came up with this theory in the Discord chat, but someone pointed out that it was intentional for the Andromeda Galaxy and the Milky Way Galaxy being in that picture, or in the trailer.
Yeah.
That someone had a theory of what about the Quarian arc? What if that's...
So apparently there is a full book about the Quarian arc.
Why, yes, there is.
So that answers that question. That's does it? Does it not?
No.
I
But what if the next game has something to do with
Do I
it?
still need to read the book? I got too many books I need to read.
Well, hey, a little bit of self-promotion here. I literally have a video on it, so you don't even need to read it.
All right, I am now just going to watch your videos and pretend like I read the books.
Yeah?
I don't want to actually do that. I got my big fat RPG books in there, and so that's next on the list. Actually, next on the list is the art book, which isn't a real book. It is, because it's in book form, but it's all pictures, which is exactly my thing.
So what is it then? A fake book? Like what?
It's a picture book.
It's a picture book.
So it's a book.
It's still a book.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, unfortunately, Annihilation doesn't 100% answer the question.
I thought it did, but...
It takes... Yeah, it technically does.
I still see a lot of misinformation out there on the Andromeda being a part of the next Mass Effect game. Like, people speaking as if it's confirmed, and there was a slight hint that there would be something alluded to, but absolutely nothing's confirmed at this point.
Yeah, it's all theories, but...
Absolutely nothing is confirmed. The only thing that I think you can really confirm is that Liara is in it. And that you can't even 100% confirm because it's a teaser trailer, and it could be a preview thing.
Yeah.
Or, what if that's not Liara?
That's dumb. They better not do that. That's like Liara's daughter?
I don't know.
Could be Liara's daughter. They're supposed to be somewhat similar looking, although they're not.
Yeah, so...
Like, she doesn't really look like Benezia that
what
much,
if
from what I remember.
It's a new race of shape-shifting aliens?
Oh, God damn it.
They should
and
not
they have
do that.
taken over
They should
the bodies that they
absolutely
found.
not do that.
And the game is a whole like secret invasion type of thing of scrolls.
They should 100% not do that. They need to not do something crazy with this game.
And one of the characters is like that one Pokemon character that kind of looks like Pikachu but did it god awful. And I want that character to be like, I don't know, Legion or something. Just so when he starts speaking weirdly, they'll be like, what's wrong with that one? Why does that Geth have a tongue? Why is it sticking out?
Where would the tongue even be? There's no mouth.
That is up to your imagination, and that's the beauty of this.
But would you consider it a tongue at that point?
I mean,
I feel like
it could be adventurous.
I feel like it would be one of those horror tongues where it doesn't actually serve a purpose for anything other
just
than
there to be gross.
Yeah, just there to be disgusting.
I don't think robots should have tongues, but whatever.
Why not? How else do they taste food?
They don't. They're robots, Tucker.
Well, that's unfair.
Is it?
Yeah.
There's a word that I'm being the racist version against robots.
I don't know. I just know that my Alexa is listening to me, and I want her to know that I care and love her very much. I'm being held captive.
Of course you are. All right, it's time for the obscure Mass Effect character of the week.
Yes.
I decided I'm still going to stick on Tuchanka for a while.
Well, I mean,
I went through there. I've got at least 3 recommendations from people. If you want to recommend one, I will get to everything. Email me at accidentallycasual@gmail.com, and we will get to yours. And I have audio for them, and I'm ready to go. But this one is the speaker for Clan Werlock.
The Solarian will cure the genophage, and Clan Werlock will spread across the galaxy in a sea of blood.
Not a very big role in the game.
No.
Well, I mean, if he speaks for the entire clan.
He yells a lot, and then he dies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because Shepard's not cool with it.
That was yelling?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he comes out there and he's
Is he like an undisciplined child?
No, he comes out there and talks about how awesome he is and how awesome the clan is. And then,
oh, what?
Then you
and
just
Shepard got an ego jealousy thing for
Well,
that?
it's in the Morden mission where they're trying to find the Solarian scientists.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going in there and you're like walking through and killing them all.
So may as well toss this.
Yeah, basically, that's the one where like he's talking and then you can shoot the gas can underneath him and blow him up.
Oh,
and light him on fire.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the one of the clips I have in there. There's one at the end of the show is like that.
Yeah, that's one thing that was always funny, was you can tell the developers really wanted you to shoot that canister.
Absolutely.
They give you,
most of them, like, you run out of time and the thing's up there forever, right?
Yeah. Well, they give you, 3 or 4 opportunities, too. Like, he, says a line for a little bit, the prompt will disappear, line will pop up back again, another line will come up, and then the prompt will come up. Like, they really want to make sure, hey, you should shoot it. shoot it.
That is the only one where they really, really emphasize it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, but I don't remember them emphasizing taking an action that much in any other action that Shepard does.
I think the only one I can think of is stabbing Kai Lang, but that's just because,
Don't you do that no matter what?
I mean, yes, that is true.
Like, there's no other option?
Yeah, that's fair. But, we all know every player has just pounded the fucking keys to stab that bastard right in the stomach.
That was for Thane.
You son of a bitch.
All right, I have one more character that I absolutely need to get to because it has to do with Pyjack poop on Tuchanka.
Oh, good God.
I came through there and I was going to leave it out, and now I decided I can't. But then we'll get to other ones. We got some good ones. A lot of great obscure characters in Mass Effect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so next week we're going to go over our recommendations, come up with the full list. There'll be an actual organized video like I normally do, as opposed to these.
Woohoo!
After that, but we'll have the
You're
discussion
saying
on the
this
show.
isn't an organized video?
All my videos are organized. All my podcasts are not. I try to have the podcast organized, and
Do
there's
you
something.
not follow the script that we give you, Minius? I've been following mine to the T.
You have no script, and I personally believe you've never actually written a script in your life, even though you've come up with a bunch of channels.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, it's quite the opposite with that.
I'm aware of that, but I don't
get
believe
a lot
it.
of my comments are like, "It sounds like you're reading too much from a script." I'm like, "This is how I sound."
I always
I am
write a script
self-conscious.
and then kind of say what it says, but in whatever words I feel like at the time.
I
Yeah.
I read mine verbatim, but that's because I did debate for 4 years. So for me,
You don't sound like a robot with a tongue?
no, I do not sound like a robot with a tongue. So
Oh, good.
That's good.
What would a robot with a tongue sound like?
Probably the same as a robot without a tongue.
Probably that.
I don't. Probably the same as a robot without the tongue. Yeah. All right. So this has been episode number 28 of the Accidentally Casual Gaming Podcast. We all have YouTube channels, by the way, with videos on them.
Yeah.
You should check them out. They're in the description box. They're also really cool. I'm actually serious about that. They're cool.
Yeah, and check out the Discord channel too. We are almost at 100. We have 95.
Ooh,
We're 5 away from 100.
We're close.
We're also all on Twitter. That's where you can follow the Mass Effect recommendation tournament closest. I'm at Minius GC. Tucker is at Appy Tucker. And Scott is at BioWare B.
Ooh.
We will be back next week, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 Bye. Good night. I'm not done yet.
Oh no! Oh, we're still going?
I don't know yet. This might be in there.
I am the speaker for Clan Werelock Offworlders. You have shed our blood. By rights, you should be dead already. But Werelock Gold, the Chief of Chiefs, has ordered that you be given leave to flee and spread the message of our coming.
If I flee, I might trip over the dozen Krogan I killed to get here. I think I'll take my chances.
We have the Blood Pack, and we have the Solarian. When our clan numbers in the millions, we will not need support. When we cure the Genophage, Werelock Gold will rule all Krogan. The Krogan rebellions will become...
You talk too much.
See? The human cannot hit a simple target. The Blood Pack will avenge me!